welcome to Miss Vicky's Bookcase. I hope you're having a great month. June seems to have flown by, and I suddenly realised that I was supposed to be doing a bullet journal this week, and then I panicked because I couldn't think about what I wanted to do. And then I came up with this brilliant idea, which I'll get to in a second. But first, I've got to preface this once again. I feel like I say this every single month, but this time it's my own fault, I think. I record with my phone, and for some reason I have managed to max my phone's memory storage out. And you would think, oh, why didn't you just delete stuff? I did, and then I carried on recording. But for some reason, when I was recording, some of it actually didn't record properly. So my apologies if it jumps a little bit. I'm really sorry. My recording device did not record very well. It is my fault. I totally take the blame for it. But anyway, moving on. So you've already kind of seen my first page ready because I've just taken that long to tell you why my filming was a disaster. But I went with a gaming theme this month because at the end of this month, hopefully, as long as lockdown is lifted enough for us to do this in the UK, I'm going to be going to the UK Board Game Expo, which I'm really excited about. My family will tell you I'm really excited about this. There's so many things going on, some really interesting things. I wanted to kind of celebrate that, and I wanted to do something different. So the very first page, the monthly title page, I actually just did a joystick with the lettering being the actual joystick going into a TV called, the TV isn't called loading, but it says loading on the TV. Now the next two pages are supposed to be circuit boards within the TV, and the night before I painted my pages green, so you will see all the pages already pre-painted. I made the decision not to record that because it's not really that exciting. I know. And I thought, when I came up with this idea, I was like, oh, this is a really great idea. It's not going to take me long at all because it's very few colours, really easily done, because I'm just going to use the silver marker to do the outlines and it will look great. And you can't see very well because I forgot, of course, metallic markers are shiny and therefore you probably can't see the recording very well. I was like, oh, it doesn't really stand out very well. And so after I actually did all the silver bits, I was like, oh, I'll go back and do the black outlining, which instead of taking me, I would say, an hour to do total, including all the painting and everything, it took me way longer. And it was supposed to be a simple month. I keep saying that every month. I'm like, this is a simple month. This is going to be simple. I don't know why I bother saying it because it doesn't end up being like that. And then I end up doing really random things. I will say, doing this reminded me that you can get a special pen that is both metallic and has an outline, which I'm now looking for because I'm like, if I had the outline, this would have been 10 million times quicker and it would have looked so much better. Because let's just say, you can draw outlines with rulers, which is what I did do, you'll notice, throughout most of it, but sometimes my ruler lines aren't straight. Actually, my silver pens aren't straight either. And it just got a little bit hodgepodge. And it's still charming in my mind. I'm going with charming. But at the same time, I kind of wish I'd thought about it a little bit more. And I'm not sure what I could have done a lot differently. Because I think the outline actually does make it look a lot better. I looked at it without the outline. I was like, no, it needs the outline. And weirdly, I kind of did enjoy that, but you can tell in some parts where I kind of got bored. Because just drawing lines that you can't see very well. Also, by the way, my head is really close and I'm squinting a little bit. You can't see because thankfully my video recording was high enough that my head wasn't in, but it was a little bit frustrating, I have to say. But I really like the theme that I had overall, and a little plug here for my podcast. I do a podcast called Miss Vicky's Bookcase, and this month, because I'm going to the Board Game Expo, I thought it would be really fun to tell you about different books that are what they call lit RPGs, so things like Ready Player One and books that feature games as their main thing. I thought I'd do some reviews of that or do some lists. I'm also going to be doing something called the Indie Accord, which is a readathon reading independently published authors, which is pretty awesome. I've been wanting to do some readathons this year and I haven't really seen anything that I've wanted to participate in, but this is really nice because you get like a little bingo prompt card and I'm excited to start it. So if you want to hear about that, I'm actually doing a bonus episode for Friday along with my normal episode to say what I'm going to be reading, so it should be a lot of fun. Now, back to my drawing a little. As you can see, it's kind of turning out to be kind of crisscross pattern. It's actually still very reminiscent of medieval period. I know, couldn't resist getting that in there. But the crisscross pattern, if you look at quite a few of the manuscripts, especially looking at the blue sky, I don't know why, but sometimes they put these lattice shapes on instead. And I was kind of thinking about that when I was thinking about the circuit boards. I could have made it all random, I could have put more little circles on, but actually I really liked the intricacy of it. And if you're wondering how I'm going to colour in the squares for the month, I'm going to use a different coloured marker and I'm simply just going to colour over it. I know the numbers aren't going to show, and I could write it in a micron pen, which is what that is in case you're wondering, but I think it will stand out more with my tracking if I don't actually have the numbers left and I can see where I'm not actually reading. And maybe this month I might actually keep track of it. I'm getting very bad with keeping track of things, and last month was just a case in point where I forgot to write things down and then I wondered what I'd done or what I'd read. And so last month's bullet journal was definitely neglected, but in fairness, and I'm letting myself off, I'm not annoyed with myself really, it was a really busy month. I was helping someone with a wedding and that was exhausting, and I had a reading slump as well, which is really frustrating because I was looking forward to a couple of the books and I ended up not reading several which I'd been really looking forward to, one of which I was just so disgusted I just couldn't read more than 30 pages, but that's a side note. I might just put that book on Instagram just in case you're wondering and say, sorry, did not like it, but maybe I'll go back to it. Anyway, so what I was also doing with this page, because I should be talking about the artwork really. Okay, granted there isn't that much to say about it really. I did decide to do kind of straight lines and write July, so the right hand page at the very bottom is July. Also, yeah, I know I did actually originally write July further up. Then you probably could, if you're seeing it on a really high definition TV, you can see that I've got the pencil drawings. I totally forgot that I shifted the lettering over one then wrote it in the original place and I was like, oh, whoops. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't all fit properly, and then I was like, oh, I'll just draw extra lines down and I'll put July in and it'll be fine. And it is mostly fine. I'm just going to keep with Bob Ross's Happy Little Accident. That's what I'm going to keep with. And it kind of adds to it just in a bizarre way. It's almost like someone's corrupted my circuit board. And what I also did as well, I connected on the right hand side, you can see the little headphones. I actually connected the headphones to the circuit board as if like I'm running the headphones and they needed a circuit board, which I kind of really liked. And of course the book also will connect to the circuit board as well. I could have made the circuit board go right to the very bottom of the page, or I could have added something at the very bottom like I did on the right hand page where it says July in an odd way. But actually I think it works quite nicely with it slightly shorter. And also I kind of neglected to draw it in. If you can see HD, you could probably see that I just drew the squares and didn't draw anything else unlike the right hand page. But it's fine. Experimentation is the key here. And again, in some ways I'm kind of like, I really should be doing this in a sketchbook first, but I think it's half the fun. Just doing it and making the mistakes and watching things evolve, because I had a totally different plan for what I was going to do with this. But I like this way more than I thought I was going to. So we're moving on to our next page, which is my red page and my TBR page. And I probably should mention the fact that I'm doing this in a kind of odd order. I'm doing it from right to left, and that's because, of course, I'm left-handed, and the pen I'm using is rather like a paint pen in some respects, and it's really easily smudgeable, so I thought it was easier to go right to left. It really is, but I still managed to get it absolutely everywhere. You should see my ruler, it's just ridiculous. And I also decided to do this slightly different to the previous page. In fact, both pages I've actually done slightly differently. On the TBR page, I decided to go with like 9 boxes because the readathon that I'm doing is 9 books, and that's the minimum I want to read for this month. I then kind of neglected the thought that I'm not just reading 9 books, I'm actually reading another 4 or 5 on top of that. Well, at least I'm hoping to, one of which is podcast for my work, and in case you're wondering, that is the Book Arena, and then you can probably tell where I work, but it's a little bit of fun and I'm reading that, and that's going to be nice. But I'm also reading some other stuff, of course, for the Games Expo in the run-up, because I would really love to read some lit RPG on top of what I'm already reading. I've read some really good ones recently, actually, so I can't wait to explore that with you guys. So I kind of was like, I didn't do enough for my TBR. But it's fine, because I'm doing the minimum of 9, because at least then I'll at least know that that's the Indie Accord books that I'm reading. And then on the red page, I think I gave it much more. I want to say 16. I don't know why 16 comes to my mind. I'm not going to read 16 because that's just silly. I mean, I have read more than 16 in a month before, but I don't have time this month. It's going to be one of those months. And so I just doubled it up. I made it smaller, and all the big books on the TBR page will connect to the red books on the red book page, if that makes sense. So it's kind of fun. Also, a really wonky drawing. This is where I decided to change my mind about the pen and do the black pen here. And I first tried it without a ruler, and you can see it's terrible. I'm terrible at drawing freehand. I really am. But it's fine, because the more you do it, the better you'll get. So I've just got to do it a little bit more. At least that's what I keep telling myself. And I'm still really liking the painting. Oh, I should mention that the green is Viridian Green watercolour paint, and I actually found my watercolour chart, which I'd been looking for ages, where I'd actually swatched everything. So I actually could give like a nice kind of darkish green. It's not quite the green I wanted, and I could have mixed up a different paint, but I was thinking, let's not overdo it. If you hadn't already guessed, the black outlining is the stuff that took the longest. It really did, because not are you just drawing a square, you're having to go around the square again on the inside because you've got to double layer it. And then of course when you do the crisscrosses, you've got to do each side of that, and I don't think I enjoyed that bit. I mean, it looks better than it did, but I did not enjoy it. And I did think about, by the way, just in case you're wondering, adding more than the one little crisscross between both pages. And I could have done something way more elaborate, but I was like, no, I've really spent enough time doing this. This is supposed to be quick. I mean, it actually was quick. If I'm honest, this is one of the quicker ones I've done, which is the good news. Of course, the bad news is it still wasn't that quick. Do you know, I even thought about, instead of painting the green paint, I actually even thought about using card and just doing it on a piece of card, like I have done before. This isn't the first time I would have done it with card, but sometimes it's more of a challenge to use what you actually have than buy extra stuff. So moving on now, we are on the last page. You'll be saying, finally. And this, of course, is my book of the month, and this is just to bookcase the very front page, so it's got the controller again, because it's always nicer to play with another person than on your own. And just in case you're also wondering, I used a Tombow black marker and a Tombow red marker for it, and I used the gold metallic pen and did the normal book of the month this month, unlike last month, and I also outlined it again with a micron. And this finally means we are at the very end of the book. Hurrah! Whew, it did feel like it took ages. So let's jump to the beginning again. So let's flip over. So we have our title month, which is July, which isn't too wobbly, thankfully. Then we have the tracking page with the physical books on the left and the audio on the right. TBR and red page. And last of all, my book of the month page. So there you have it. That is my bullet journal for the month of July. I hope you enjoyed seeing the slight disaster I had with both recording and doing the actual bullet journal. I hope it's inspired you. I know mine aren't as pristine as they could be, but it brings me a little happiness, and hopefully seeing the inspiration will help you as well. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.